it going, guys? So today on the Phantom Cave YouTube channel, we're going to be having a look at today's latest Few publication. And today's latest Few publication is The Saga of the Vultures, Part 1 through to Part 3. And the main story is about the evil organization called the Vultures. Now, let's get into it. I hope you enjoy this story and this part series that I've been getting into, or I've been reading since all the 3 parts had come out. So usually I would get all 3 parts, then binge read. I know I've said that a few times, and let's get into this. So the main story is obviously the Saga of Vultures. It goes through Part 1 to Part 3. And basically, there's another short story. There's 2 short stories in this sort of comic. And we actually have a look at those as well, as we all know. And those short stories are from Paul Mason, who has written them and done the art for them. So you're probably wondering, what is the Saga of the Vultures? Well, we're having a look at a chronicle story that had been happening during, I think, the 5th Phantom's reign or something. So the Phantom, he basically, the whole story is about him discovering an organization and finding the whereabouts, finding the origin of the organization. That's why Peter Anderson has done basically an origin story for the Vultures. Half of the story's basically an origin story for the Vultures, and he comes to a town where they are pretty damn scared about these vultures. They think they are a supernatural being, and the Phantom comes to this town wanting, well, I guess he's wanting answers for starters, and he stays at an inn. That's usually where he would stay in those types of circumstances where he can't go to the Skull Cave and hang out and all that sort of stuff. But he goes to a local inn. He gets a room, obviously. One of the funny parts in this, they think that he likes beer, and he obviously doesn't. He drinks milk, but they don't actually know that. I think this is where it comes, where people, they think you drink beer, obviously, and just get me a drink of milk, not beer. I thought that was pretty funny. And they give him a small glass of milk and 2 big jars, jars of beer and all that sort of stuff, but he doesn't even drink it. He gives it to someone else. And then he goes on a little adventure through the Vultures' hideout. We see the Phantom gets into a room, he gets into the castle, and in the second part, we actually hear the origin story of the Vultures from a old sort of historical man. Now we're going to be having a look at the Phantom Vietnam. Now, the Phantom Vietnam stories done by Paul Mason are mint. They are absolutely good, and yeah, because the Vietnam War, it was not great. And usually on Facebook, when I'm on Facebook, I'm actually in a couple of groups that they talk about what happened on a certain day in wars. So we'll have a look at this story by Paul Mason. I've actually met him. He's pretty cool. his art's so good. But it's basically there's a bombing coming to the town, but they don't actually know it, and the Phantom has to go out in search for a lonesome guy who has just, or an organisation and a clan who have just, in the next issue, blown everyone up. And then the Phantom just goes on a rampage, and he finally tries and gets where he is. And yeah, it's just, Vietnam was a horrible time for a lot of Australians. Like, I think one of my rallies, he went to Vietnam, obviously didn't come back. And yeah, I don't think I never met him, because this was back in 1960s or 1980s. And it's just sad that people had to go to war, I guess, and they just don't see another person if they don't come back. Yeah, it's just sad. But we have a couple new announcements from the ads in the back of the book. We have a card sale, which has been there for a while. People should know about that. And we have a new ad. A new jewellery and the latest Phantom rings. You can buy them made to order from reapersquest.org. And the reapersquest.org, we actually interviewed him, which is Wilfrick Media, and he was pretty cool. The next ad, you can buy those. You can get dog tags, good mark, pendant, and all that for available at reapersquest.org. And now you can subscribe to and get free file cards at the Phantom. Now you can do that online or cut this little thing out online at www.phantomcomic.com.au. Yeah, look at that cover. Look at that back cover. That's so good. So good. Now you reckon, look at that. Now look at this. This is absolutely awesomeness. And as always, I have had been talking to Anthony Spay, who did the artwork for the story and did the artwork for the covers. Now, he's an awesome guy. He sent me some original sort of art or panels that don't even have words on them. And it's just cool. I'll be showing some panels of what he did up on the screen right now. And yeah, he's just a good bloke. And so part 3, it was supposed to come with a Phantom robot story, a futuristic story, but we'll see what happens. So the old Vultures guy that keeps all the books intact, he's basically starting to tell the Phantom the origin story of the Vultures. There was a very nasty guy who basically stole from the poor and killed a lot of people. He then gets killed himself. He gets incited with a V on his head, and he then escapes. He kills some more, and by the end of this story, he creates an organization that steals from the poor and basically, doesn't give a shit about anyone. Sorry if you heard that. Don't be offended or anything. He just didn't give a crap about everyone else. And then we come back to the original story, and the Phantom is surrounded by the other Vultures. Now, the next short part story is another part from Paul Mason. It's where young Kit, or the young Mr. Walker, young Mr. Phantom, finds this old chronicle, and he's starting to read it. He reads about his father, I think his father had been in the Vietnam War. Well, I know Vietnam War was a real thing, but this story I think may be fictional. I'm not too sure, but it's a very good story, and it's sad that, like I said earlier, it's sad that people didn't come back from wars and all that sort of stuff. It's just sad because I had a rally that went to Vietnam War, and he sort of didn't come back. Yeah, so it's sad. But we have a Phantom sort of story to have a look at those days, and yeah, the Phantom obviously does not kill, and the young Mr. Walker is then interrupted by Guran. And he sort of asks Guran a couple of questions. Guran supervises him, and he finishes the story, and the Phantom does not kill. How good is that? How good is that? And then we have this last panel that actually goes and it actually contributes to the people that I think it says in this little box here, sort of like the people that it may have been a true story. Now, I don't know if it was a true story. I don't know, but I'm guessing it was, and Paul Mason has done a great job with this. Now we have the the Phantom Treasures of Dracon. You can get that at phantomcomic.com.au. Only one first print run only. But have a look at that back cover. That is awesome. Good job, Paul Mason. Very good job. Now we move on to the third part, plus the Saga of the Vultures Part 3, and we have plus a classic Swedish story, Revenge of the Vultures, that has not seen publication in Australia, which is pretty cool. So in this part, we're having a look at the Sinister Baron. We actually get to see the real villain behind all this, and obviously the Phantom wins and he destroys the organization, but then he gets tricked by this girl. And will she survive? Will she survive for another part? We don't actually know. We'll find that out in the next couple of pages. And the Phantom, he eventually wins, and guess what? Guess what? Guess what? He nearly dies. Yep, the Phantom nearly dies. Sorry, but we had like a dramatic ending. We were going to have a dramatic ending, and we still are, but he nearly dies. He does not. He basically chases the other villains back to the castle, and the two villains, are they dead? Are they dead? We'll see. The Phantom obviously survives, and wait for the last page. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. She's not dead. Wow, shit. Crap. She's not dead. Holy smoke. Well, that's a very dramatic ending for that story. Will we actually see her featured in another Peter Anderson story? I will not actually know that. I do not know that. But that is a very good end to the story. Hopefully we actually see further parts to it, because like a sequel or something like that. And the next story we're going to be having a look at is The Revenge of the Vultures. And this is basically done back in 1970s, the mid-1970s by, I think, Ulf Granberg and a Swedish artist. I can't remember the artist for this. But, yeah, this story, the artwork for this story, it sort of reminds me of how the Brazilian stories used to be. Because I've only read a couple of Brazilian stories. Obviously, Walmir, the famous Phantom artist called Walmir, he did most of, I'm pretty sure he did most of the artworks for and interior art for the Brazilian stories. Now, if I'm wrong, you can comment down below. And as always, subscribe down below and we'll get into it. Now, the Phantom is investigating about a guy called the Vultures, as we all know. Who would have thought? He finds out and eventually he nearly dies in a wine barrel. He escapes from that wine barrel. Eventually, very close to certain death. And eventually he gets out. His Phantom goes on a fear-stricken journey. The Baron basically gets scared. And what will happen? What will happen? He dies of his own act. Yes, he dies of his own act, and his own axe kills him instantly. Well, what a dramatic end to these both stories. Now, if you would like to subscribe to the Phantom Cave YouTube channel, you can check this board game out. It's only a limited time offer at phantomcomic.com.